Big Super Bowl commercials have not always been a thing. Today is finally the Super Bowl, and it's pretty much the only sporting event where the commercial break is not a good time to leave your couch. But that has not always been the case. The very first Super Bowl commercial that really made it a blockbuster event happened at the 1984 game, and the advertiser that actually ran that commercial was Apple. At the time, they were losing market share rapidly to IBM, and so they needed to take a big swing. Steve Jobs decided to partner with Lee Clow, who was an advertising agent. Together, they decided to hire Ridley Scott to direct their Super Bowl commercial. Ridley Scott at the time was already known as a massive director, having done Alien and Blade Runner. They spent $400,000 just on production costs, and the commercial itself featured about 300 extras. This may not sound like a big deal now, but this was nowhere near what other companies were doing for Super Bowl commercials at the time. And the theme of that commercial was actually kind of previewed at Steve Jobs' keynote that year. He spoke about IBM starting to become so dominant, and then compared the company to George Orwell's book 1984, which is a pretty bold statement to make. But Ridley Scott's vision for that commercial was to invoke the same imagery. The commercial featured a female athlete running towards the camera. She is chased by a mob of extras that are made to look like George Orwell's thought police. And in the end of the commercial, she throws the hammer at the screen, and one message appears. On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh, and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. That commercial was so out of place that when they came back from the commercial break, Pat Summerall and John Madden actually commented on it. While the costs were probably somewhere around $1 million for that commercial, it was estimated that they gained about $150 million worth of value. And when they did launch Macintosh, they sold 280,000 units in the first year, which outpaced IBM's record by over 100%. And that commercial is really what made brands look at the Super Bowl not only as an advertising opportunity with a ton of eyes on screen, but as a chance to do something very creative.